All right, and welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. If it wasn't for Microsoft's earnings and for some exchange issues earlier this morning, we really haven't had a lot to talk about here. Market's basically sideways this morning. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Up at 252 after hours, so closing 10 points higher from the close. Coincidentally enough, somebody bought like 100,000 shares about 5 minutes before the close there. So congratulations to that amazing trader who is just very insightful. And yeah, anyways, Microsoft up here, 252 after hours. That is pushing the spiders up, 401.30 in the after hours. Now Q's up 2 points here, or yeah, just about 2 points at 290 there in the after hours. Tomorrow we do have Tesla, ASML, and Boeing, among a lot of others, I believe. So anyways, let's get over to a couple of things that happened today here. By the way, Microsoft, so there's, to give you a visual, right about where that gap window is, red bar high on Microsoft there. So maybe wants to go fill that gap tomorrow, just below that 200 moving average there as well. So a nice pop there for Microsoft. But this morning, lots of stocks here were halted, like 70 or 80 stocks, not just small ones, but AT&T, Verizon, Exxon, I believe Wells Fargo. Then there was a lot of smaller ones, Palantir. There was a bunch of others. I want to say Shopify. I think maybe Shopify was halted. There was a ton of them, though. And it appears that it was a technical issue, not an issue on the trading floor for the NYSE. So there was tons of crazy prints this morning, and that affected a lot of different stocks. My question is, I don't know. Apparently they got it resolved here, but my question is, do these prints actually go through? Like, take a look at AT&T here, $15 basically to 22 and almost 23. Look at the intraday. I mean, that's like, that's ridiculous. Look at that. So that was the first 10-minute candle there. A lot of the times when you see stuff like this happen, the question is to me, is this going to be a fake print? Is this going to go away tomorrow? Or do these orders actually go through, and are they going to keep them and confirm them for tomorrow, meaning they don't get reversed in the system? I don't know what's going to happen. It was very strange here this morning. But the market did calm down, and obviously all eyes, you can see here on the intraday, really the spiders, all eyes are just on Microsoft's earnings, right? I mean, we were sideways all day long. Besides that little gap down, we floated up and then went in a straight. Look at the range of Qs we're in here. 286.60 to 289, which historically is a pretty wide range, but for right now, 3 points on the Qs is nothing. Look at the semis here, just very tight outside of the first 30 minutes and the last 10 minutes, really. So very, very tight range here. The VIX getting hit, a little bit of put buying or something like that, possibly going up into the Microsoft earnings. Then we got dumped really hard right before the end. VIXy is down a couple of pennies here in the after hours. Big takeaway, again, let's not make too much out of anything right now. We did have a nice move yesterday. Obviously, we got above this trend line. And today was, more or less just an inside day. Nothing really terrible there. Under other circumstances, especially if we break it down to like let's go to the 4 hour. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the that earnings style. Just 1 second. Okay, so there's the hourly. So normally, I would say this is not a good sign here that you broke out and now you're not following through here through that double top. But again, I kind of give the market a little bit of a pass here because, again, it's really everybody's just focusing on earnings. And then now Tesla, ASML tomorrow, Boeing as well. And then obviously next week, Amazon, Google, Meta, Apple, and then FOMC. So at this point, I think the market probably quiets down a little bit. Maybe we float up, maybe just sideways to neutral here. As now, Tesla will be very interesting. I can't wait to see what that is. I might even live stream this tomorrow. Just because, I wanted to do one last week. I've been busy with the whole move and everything. And obviously I won't be able to do a video Friday, but maybe I'll make up for it with a live stream or something, Tesla, because that should be some fireworks to say the least. I'm very interested to see what happens with this one. Tesla actually getting a little bit of a bid, maybe a sympathy play here off Microsoft here in the after hours. So it looks like all of tech is up decently. Yeah, NQ getting a little bit of a bid, so that looks like it wants to go touch that 200 moving average. Let's look on the Qs here. So we did hit that trend line yesterday, and again, yeah, we're up to 290, almost 291 now. So it looks like we'll probably tag that 200 MA. Now, again, as far as my outlook here, and I've kind of expressed this sentiment here, the more overdone we get to the upside, the harder it's going to be to rally after the FOMC is announced. And that will be my concern here for the bulls. I think the market can hold up, maybe even float higher into the FOMC. But as a bull, you don't want to see this. You'd prefer the market to be doubting and kind of negative going into that. Now it's, everybody's talking about all-time highs. The bear market's over. We're above the trend line. Honestly, my guess is that we do push up a little bit higher, and I think that really gets everybody on board here. They're going to look at the trend line. Oh, it's a trend line breakout. We're going back. The bear market's over. I've expressed to you my thoughts on that as well. Again, just because you break a trend line doesn't mean that the trend itself is broken. It just means that particular trend line has been broken. There's plenty of historical precedents for that. But outside of that, let's see if the market quiets down a little bit. Again, all eyes on Tesla now tomorrow, as well as a few other names. Let's take a look at Taiwan Semi here. I think they came out earlier as well. I think this is one of the ones that was halted. Look at that range here. The gap up to 106 and then down to 84. This was in like 10 minutes, by the way. Yeah, that's a 10-minute candle there on TSM. Pretty amazing stuff. But, that did, finished actually down 1% there, and that probably put a little bit of pressure on the semis. So anyways, let's get over to, let's go to the Qs one more time. Again, 200 moving average will be your obvious resistance on the upside if you get through this trend line. And we'll see what it does by the end of the week. And then, of course, you have that double top pivot there from the December FOMC for the Russell 2000. Again, it's hanging in there okay. Went up into this level, got a hard rejection, but you held the 200. So nothing to say this can't move up a little bit more, but you are going into a lot of resistance here with this red bar if it does push higher. As for the diamond, I think right now 345 is your big level. So we'll see if that gets up there. Again, it's got a little bit of a ways to go. Dow trading up just a little bit here in the after hours off the Microsoft earnings, but remember it is price cap weighted. Over to the semis. So SMH, again, a little bit of an inside day, nothing terrible here. Again, under normal circumstances, semis down 71 basis points with the market basically flat on the day. Normally I'd say, okay, there's a little bit of underperformance there, so that would be a micro red flag. Like, I'm not going to make too much out of it. Again, we're in earnings season. I think right now we're seeing a lot of short covering into earnings and post earnings. I mean, take a look at Netflix, Wayfair. Again, we mentioned Shopify earlier. So a lot of these beaten down names are getting, even Bed Bath & Beyond had a big run a week or two ago. So I think a lot of this is short covering ahead of earnings. But in any case, semi's backing off here, but no real technical damage, right? Just big move up and now an inside candle. It's totally normal to get, a kind of a pause day after a big thrust like that. So, and it is, it did break above double top. No confirmation yet, but it still has a chance to get up into that 245, maybe 250 area. You see the pivots right there. That's going to be major resistance for the SMH. So just be aware of that. IGV backing off of the 200. I still think this can get through that, but really double top right now, I think, is kind of your major, or kind of your max upside for the moment. Maybe it pierces the double top, but the 200 moving average to me is a little bit less of a level here. Over to the transports. So let's take a look at DJT here. So we talked about this yesterday, and we went up into the trend line. We had the rejection. We held the 50, got a little bit of a bid off of that, and it was up decently yesterday. However, we didn't take out that high, and this is something we've been talking about here quite a bit, is the transports here being a very good leading indicator, really since September. Remember, these were like the first to bottom back in September. The market didn't bottom to October. We ran up here. They started to put in lower highs while the market was making higher highs. And on that, when Powell spoke on the 30th of November, the transport started to break down first, then the market broke down. So again, we're watching this for a leading indicator here, and we don't have higher highs yet. So again, it's not that they can't make higher highs. It's that they're not making higher highs with the spiders and the Qs making higher highs. So that is a little bit of a concern. If that continues, it's telling us that the market is probably ready for a turn coming up soon. So just keep that on your radar there. Transport's down 82 basis points today. again, with the market flat. So again, still showing some underperformance there. So something to keep an eye on here moving forward. Over to interest rates. Let's look at the 10-year first. Yields were really all over the map today. We had a nice big surge here in the 10-year and the 30-year. Let's look at ZB this morning. So yields were rallying as bonds were coming down. Actually just pierced that little double bottom and then a really nice V shape there for the long bond. So bonds actually holding up an impressive reversal. ZB up basically a whole percentage point today. And you do have a little daily inside bar there that's starting to build up. Maybe that wants to go test the 200. It probably does actually. You know, you've consolidated decently beneath it. So I would say it's possible that it can get through that. And then on the weekly, again, you can see where it went right into this pivot, backed off higher low. So maybe it wants to go test that 50-week moving average. Either way, that's decent. If bonds are holding up, that's going to be a net positive for the market. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. But yeah, obviously keep an eye on that. And then ZT, the 2-year here, was up just 6 basis points today. Again, a little bit of a better pattern. I don't like that you close below that green bar low though. So a little bit of a concern. It's definitely weaker here on the 2-year. But again, it's holding up okay. And as long as this is hanging in there, the market will be okay as well. I'm at the point right now where I think this probably holds up until next week, because obviously that's going to be the big question. Does the Fed raise by 75, 50, or 25? I don't think anybody's expecting 75, but it looks like 50 to 25 is going to be kind of the consensus here. But this should hold up until then, as should the rest of the market, if you ask me, unless we get some type of left field news. Anyways, XHB home builders here. Again, lower highs on the daily time frame, so kind of like the transports here, was a leading sector. Now it's a lagging sector, so a little bit of a weakness there. Possible rotation going on. ITB, same thing. VNQ, also the same thing there. Although this is holding up well, you do have a little bit of a daily inside bar, but again, I don't see this getting through 91, 92 bucks. XLF, much better day today. It did test the lows earlier. Again, we had that. A lot of bank stocks got halted earlier. Really all over the map. Take a look at Citigroup too. Look at that big sell-off there in the morning. We talked about Wells Fargo. Look at that candle there. JPM, gap up, and then a big sell. Goldman, really all over the map there. But XLF's holding up for now. Again, 1, 2, 3 lower highs versus the market, which is making higher highs. So that is a leading sector to the downside, or a weaker sector, we should say. Doesn't mean it can't make a higher high. It just means that it's taking longer for that to happen. So this is not a sector of strength at the moment. So take that however you want to. Anyways, broker-dealer, same thing. 1, 2, 3 possible lower highs. Again, 490 is about max upside, if you ask me. Over to energy. So crude had a nice sell today, down 1.84% on the crude futures. Little kind of daily micro bear inside bar there. Below the 100 moving average. We'll see. Again, that's the big weekly level right there. And we'll have to see how that does on Friday. Right now, we're off of that. We're backing off of that level. Until that level gets broken, we're going to give a neutral to bear bias here on crude futures. XLE, XOP, and OIH, all, fractionally lower here today, but again, still holding trend here. OIH still hit the 20 moving average, and again, above all those moving averages, is holding up really well and performing a lot better than I would have expected. Nat gas reversing almost all of yesterday's move, down 5.5. Let's see if it goes and touches that gap there at 313. That was the gap from Sunday to Monday. If this does go a little bit lower, I could see it testing 3, maybe just a little bit sub 3, but I think nat gas is about close to the bottom here. Either way you slice it or dice it, but right now still can't get out of its own way. Dollar index was a lot stronger earlier, again, with yields being up. Dollar came back in, so now down 20 basis points on the day. Again, I think the dollar is close to a bottom here, very close to a low. Doesn't always happen right away here, but I do like the level a lot on the weekly time frame. Gold here, again, as you'd imagine, was down earlier. You see the GLD there, took a really good dump the first 30 or 40 minutes of the day, and then really just rip-roared back to the upside here. So a lot of money flow into gold. This is very overbought. It's extended. It needs to pull back. Again, I sound like a broken record, but that's really the case here for gold. If you're long, trail your stop or take profits in this. And then silver here, holding up after that little test candle yesterday. Again, bounced off the 50 moving average, and again, still has that kind of like rounded top look. So high, higher high, and now a lower high here. I think that this inside bar here is just taking way too long to play out. But again, That's just my thoughts on it. I could see SILJ still getting up to that $12 handle before it's all said and done. I still think that needs to get hit. And GDX is very close to max move here. I think max move is right around 33, 33.50 here. But they're holding up well, so we'll respect them for the time being. Platinum, again, that 50 moving average has been holding up really well here. Going back to that breakout in October, 1, 2, 3 hits. You're getting a bid here, and it's getting a bounce. I don't think it makes a higher high right now, though. And then copper here, I do think this is trying to top out as well. Nice topping tail from Wednesday, and really just kind of backing off that area, despite the little bit of a retrace here. Over to Bitcoin, lastly. Again, Bitcoin holding up. The longer this consolidates, the higher the chances are of this going up to 25,000. I think this probably stays in the range this week. If we get to 25,000, it'll probably be sometime next week, maybe during or after the FOMC. You get those kind of bids here. But again, the more extended this gets into that FOMC, and as we get through the heart of earnings season, the harder it's going to be to really hold those gains, really across the board. It's not just for Bitcoin, but for tech, for stocks in general here. So that is really the big takeaway. The big concern right now is, yes, we're rallying, but are we rallying too much, too quick? Are a lot of those gains getting pulled forward, as opposed, and essentially priced in, as opposed to, being down and then being able to beat expectations easily. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. Let's go take one more look at Microsoft. Yeah, so holding the gains at 252, so up 10 points here in the after hours. NQ up nicely, and yeah, right just near that 200 moving average there, and then the ES basically back near the highs. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Talk to you guys all tomorrow.